Ethan and Lucas just bought a big piece of land outside town. They dreamed of building a home surrounded by nature, away from the city's noise. The land was cheap, and they were excited, but also a bit worried. One sunny morning, they went to see their new property for the first time. They couldn't wait to see what they had bought. As Ethan and Lucas drove up the long, bumpy road to their new land, they felt a mix of excitement and curiosity. They imagined building a big house, growing vegetables, and maybe even having a small barn. But, as they got closer, they saw something surprising. An old, rusty shed right in the middle of their property. It wasn't on the map or mentioned in the listing. The brothers looked at each other, puzzled. They parked the car and stepped out, walking carefully towards the shed. Weeds and vines covered the walls, and the big doors at the front were locked with a heavy chain and padlock. Ethan walked around the shed, looking for another way in, while Lucas checked the lock. "You've been wanting to play handyman," Lucas said with a grin. Ethan found a steel pipe nearby and used it to break the chain. With a loud snap, the chain finally broke. "Nice work," Lucas said, patting Ethan on the back. Together, they pulled open the heavy doors, ready to see what was inside. As Ethan and Lucas stepped inside the shed, they were hit by a musty smell. The air was damp and old, and sunlight peeked through holes in the roof, casting eerie shadows. The shed looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Shelves lined the walls, covered in mold, and rusty tools were scattered on the floor. But what really caught their eye were the big wooden boxes stacked in the corner. Ethan and Lucas hurried to the boxes, eager to see what was inside. The first box was full of old papers, faded photos, and something that looked like a blueprint. The photos showed a serious-looking man with a big mustache, a woman in an old-fashioned dress, and a little girl holding a doll. The clothes and style made them think these pictures were from a long time ago. Ethan carefully unfolded the blueprint. It showed a big house with lots of rooms and hallways. One thing stood out, a small signature in the corner, inside an upside-down triangle. The initials read WH. The brothers were now super curious. They decided to find out more about WH and the history of their land. Ethan and Lucas wanted to know more about the mysterious WH and the blueprint they found. They went to the local library, hoping to find some clues. Weeks went by with no luck, and the brothers started to feel disappointed. But one morning, Lucas got a phone call from an old historian named Dr. Samuel Carter. He said he had some important information about WH. The brothers rushed to meet Dr. Carter. When he saw the blueprint, his eyes widened. "I have something similar," he said, pulling out a big sheet of paper from his files. It looked almost the same as the brothers' blueprint, but there was one big difference. The shed and the area around it were missing from Dr. Carter's version. This made Ethan and Lucas even more curious. They thanked Dr. Carter and hurried back to their property, determined to find out more. Ethan and Lucas couldn't wait to get back to their property. They were so excited that they barely noticed the bumpy ride. As soon as they arrived, they rushed to the shed. They searched every corner, looking for anything they might have missed. Ethan paced back and forth, feeling frustrated. Suddenly, he noticed something strange. Parts of the floor sounded hollow when he walked on them. The brothers grabbed some tools and started pulling up the floorboards. To their surprise, they found a hidden compartment underneath the shed. Inside, there was a small, locked chest. Ethan carefully lifted it, feeling how heavy it was. They couldn't wait to see what was inside. With a mix of excitement and curiosity, they worked together to open the chest. What they found next would change everything. Ethan and Lucas carefully opened the chest, their hearts pounding with excitement. Inside, they found more old papers, a journal, and a bunch of shiny gold coins. The journal was written by William Hartley himself. It told the story of his life, his adventures, and his dreams. The last entry in the journal revealed something amazing. William had hidden a treasure on the property. The journal described a special landmark where the treasure was buried. Ethan and Lucas followed the clues and found a big old oak tree near the edge of their land. They started digging under the tree's roots. After a lot of hard work, they found a metal box. Inside the box were bundles of cash, more gold coins, and a letter. The letter was addressed to "My Descendants" and explained that William had hidden his fortune to make sure it would be safe for future generations. The brothers couldn't believe it. They were probably related to William Hartley. One evening, as Ethan walked through the overgrown backyard, he heard a strange thud. It was so clear and sudden that he had to stop and listen. He stamped his foot on the ground, and the sound repeated, muted but unmistakable. Ethan's heart raced with curiosity and a bit of doubt. This property, rumored to hold secrets, had always fascinated him and Lucas. They had inherited it from their late uncle, and it seemed like more than just an old shed in the wild. Ethan called out to Lucas, "We need to dig here." They grabbed an old spade and a gardening fork and started digging with all their might. After what felt like forever, their tools hit something solid. They cleared away the dirt and found a wooden hatch embedded in the ground. Together they pulled it open, revealing a dark, mysterious void below. A chill rose from the opening, carrying the scent of damp earth and something unknown. Ethan found a rickety ladder and carefully climbed down, his heart pounding. At the bottom, it was so dark he could barely see. He pulled out a lighter and flicked it until a small flame lit up. The faint light showed walls lined with shelves and an old oil lamp hanging from a hook. Lucas grabbed the lamp and Ethan lit it. The room filled with a warm, golden glow. The brothers stood in awe, realizing they had found something incredible. Ethan and Lucas couldn't believe their eyes. They were standing in a secret room, just like the historian had mentioned. The room was huge and eerily quiet, their footsteps echoing as they walked around. They started searching, looking through drawers and checking every corner. They found mostly dust and cobwebs until Ethan spotted a large painting on the wall. It showed Alexander Hartley and his family. "Look at this," Ethan said, pointing to the bottom corner of the painting. The initials A.H. were signed there. Lucas studied the painting closely and suddenly exclaimed, "Doesn't he look like us?" Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The resemblance was striking. The nose, the shape of the face. It all felt familiar. Could Alexander Hartley be their ancestor? They carefully took the painting off the wall, hoping to find a hidden compartment behind it. But the wall was bare. Just as they were about to give up, Ethan noticed scratches on the frame. "There's something hidden here," he said. Using a pocket knife, they pried open the frame. After a few tense minutes, a small key and an envelope fell out. Ethan picked up the envelope and tore it open. Inside was a letter. As he read it aloud, his voice trembled with excitement. The letter talked about a hidden treasure meant for Alexander's true heirs. It gave cryptic clues, urging them to trust their instincts. With new determination, the brothers returned to their search. The letter's clues led them to an old cabinet. After fiddling with the drawers, they heard a loud click. The cabinet swung open, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was an ornate chest covered in intricate carvings. The key fit perfectly in the lock. As they opened the chest, their jaws dropped. It was filled with golden coins and ancient documents. Their journey didn't end there. They took the treasure to the historian, who told them more about their connection to Alexander Hartley and his legacy. Inspired, Ethan and Lucas decided to build a home on the property, just like Alexander's original designs. Years later, the house became a beautiful family estate, with a museum dedicated to their incredible discovery. Their lives were forever changed, not just by the treasure, but by the amazing connection they found with their past.